Some people leave a crowded room feeling like they just worked a 12-hour shift, and most people have no idea why. They call it anxiety. They call it antisocial. They call it difficult. They're wrong. Picture this. Two friends, same party, same room, same noise. One of them is smiling, moving through the crowd, switching conversations completely in their element. The other one got there an hour ago. They said hi to a few people. They laughed at the right moments. They looked totally fine from the outside, but inside, something completely different was happening. Not panic, not shyness, just a slow, quiet drain, like a battery that keeps losing charge and nobody can see it going. And by the time they left, they weren't just tired. They needed 2 full days to feel like themselves again. Maybe you know that person, or maybe you are that person. And if you've ever wondered why a room full of people leaves you more exhausted than a full day of work, this is for you. Because the answer isn't "you're introverted." That word is used so often it means nothing anymore. What's actually happening is different, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Here's the first thing you need to understand. Most people's brains work like a noise-canceling filter. Walk into a crowded room and their brain automatically turns down what doesn't matter. The background conversations, the clinking glasses, the music, the footsteps, it all gets pushed to the back. But for some people, that filter doesn't work the same way. Their brain treats everything as equally important. The conversation in front of them, the one happening 3 feet away, the sudden laugh from across the room, the shift in the music, the flicker of someone's expression, all of it, at full volume, at the same time. Forget the scientific term. Just imagine this. Imagine everyone else in that room is watching a film in standard definition. And you're watching the same film in 8K with surround sound and no way to turn it down. You're not watching less. You're watching more. Every detail, every texture, every signal the room is sending, your brain is picking up all of it. And after an hour of that, you're not just tired, you're full. People call that being sensitive. But sensitive isn't the right word. The right word is accurate. Your brain just refuses to pretend half the room doesn't exist. And here's the part most people never think about. Think about what it actually takes to stay in that room. You're tracking the conversation in front of you, but part of your brain is also monitoring the tone of the person next to you. Whether that laugh was genuine or a little forced, whether someone in the group looks uncomfortable, whether you said something that landed wrong. And while all of that is running in the background, you're also calculating something else. How much longer before it's okay to leave? Not because you're rude, because leaving too early means people will notice, and people noticing means explaining yourself. And explaining yourself means more social energy you don't have. So you stay, you smile, you nod at the right moments, and from the outside, you look completely fine, but you're running on empty. And the strangest part is, nothing bad is happening. The room is fine, the people are fine, but your brain is treating it like a 10-hour workday, disguised as a Saturday night. Most people will never understand that. They'll just remember that you left early. Have you ever left a social event feeling more exhausted than when you arrived, and had no idea how to explain it? But there's something even more interesting going on. It's not just the noise, it's the people themselves. Here's how it works. Every single person in that room is carrying something. Stress from a conversation they had this morning. Disappointment they're hiding behind a smile. Excitement that's just a little too loud to be completely real. Most people walk through a crowd and feel none of that. But for people who struggle with crowds, the brain picks it up. Not consciously. They're not deciding to. It just happens. Like walking into a room where someone was arguing an hour ago and knowing something is off before anyone says a word, or sitting next to someone at a table and sensing they're not okay while they're still laughing. That's not overthinking. That's not anxiety. That's reading people so accurately it becomes a problem. And in a one-on-one conversation, that makes you one of the most perceptive people anyone will ever meet. But multiply that by 50 people all at once. You're not just managing your own emotional state. You're absorbing everyone else's without choosing to, without being able to stop. And nobody in that room sees it happening. Because from the outside, you just look quiet. Think about someone you know who picks up on everything, the tension in a room before anyone speaks, the friend who isn't really okay, even when they say they are. Is that a gift or a weight they didn't ask to carry? Which brings us to something most people never consider, and it starts earlier than you think. Not everyone arrives at this the same way. For some people, it's just how the brain is wired from the start. But for others, there's a specific moment, usually small, easy to forget. Picture this. You're in a group, maybe teenagers, maybe a bit younger. Everyone is talking loudly over each other. You try to say something and someone talks over you. You try again, same thing. Not because they're mean, just because the room is too loud and nobody is really listening. And after a few attempts, you stop. Not dramatically, no scene, you just go quiet. Nobody noticed. The conversation kept going. The group kept laughing, and you learned something in that moment, not from a lesson, not from anyone telling you, just from what happened. In a crowd, you disappear. And from that point on, something shifted. Not into shyness, not into fear, just into a quiet preference for rooms where what you say actually lands. One conversation, real attention, someone actually there. That low-level discomfort you feel walking into a packed room. That instinct to find a corner, to stay near the exit, it didn't come from nowhere. It came from a moment where the crowd made you invisible. And that's when people start calling you difficult. Not because you are, because you stopped pretending the noise was worth it. How many of your habits today were built around a feeling you had so long ago? You've already forgotten what caused it? And here's the part nobody ever talks about. What happens when you finally get home? You close the door, and for a few seconds, it's relief. The noise stops, the monitoring stops, the calculations stop. Your whole body just drops. But then something strange happens. The silence feels almost too much. You sit down, stare at your phone, or at nothing. And instead of feeling rested, there's this strange in-between. Not calm, not okay, just hollow. And that hollowness isn't sadness. It's what happens when a system that's been running at full capacity for hours suddenly has nothing left to process, like a computer that finally closes 40 open tabs and needs a moment just to exist before it can do anything else. The people around you don't see this part. They saw you leave early. They didn't see what it cost to stay as long as you did. And that gap between what they saw and what it actually felt like, that's the part that's always been misunderstood. So here's what this is really about. These people don't hate crowded places because they hate people. They find crowded places exhausting because their brain refuses to ignore people. Every face, every shift in tone, every emotion running just under the surface of a smile. Their brain picks up all of it, whether they want it to or not. Think about that for a second. The people who seem the most uncomfortable in a room full of strangers are often the ones paying the most attention to every single person in it. And here's the thing, nobody says out loud, the people who survive, crowds the best, are often the people noticing the least. They move through the room. They laugh at the right moments. They go home fine. Not because they're stronger, because they're less present. And that's not a compliment. People call them difficult, but most people couldn't last 10 minutes actually feeling what goes on in a crowded room the way they do. The same brain that needs 2 days to recover from a party is the same brain that will notice something's wrong with you before you've said a single word. That will remember what you said 6 months ago. That will be completely, entirely there when you actually need someone to listen. The cost is real, and so is what you get in return. They're not running away from people. They're just honest about what people cost them. But this raises something interesting. If some people are drained by the noise of others, what about the people who can't function without it? The ones who feel empty in silence, who fill every moment with plans, noise, and company. Not because they love people, but because being alone means facing something they've been avoiding for years. That psychology goes just as deep, and it reveals something about them that most people never see either. Leave one word in the comments. Just one word. The first thing that comes to mind when you imagine walking into a packed room. And if understanding why people behave the way they do is something that matters to you, you're in the right place.